Hey, this is Gerd Handel, and welcome to the Inner Light Project. This show is for anyone who's wanting to lead a happier, healthier, and enlightened life. Create more self-love, inject more joy and abundance into their daily life. Join me for inspiring interviews and spiritual topics so you can shine your inner light. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Inner Light Project. My name is Gerd Handel and today I want to share with you someone who is guiding women to find love, keep love and be love. Arielle Ford is a love alchemist, best-selling author and student of love. She leads transformative workshops and has 11 best-selling books, including The Soulmate Secret, Wabi Love and Turn Your Mate into Your Soulmate. She believes we can all have everlasting love. Hi, Arielle. I'm so grateful to have you on the show and thank you for joining us today.
Oh, I'm excited to be with you.
Oh, bless you. I just love the work that you're sharing and helping people to come back home to themselves. And I really want to get to the beginning of what your life was like before you became a love alchemist.
Well, it was never on my to-do list to become a love expert. It all really happened. I don't know. I guess it was my sort of divine path that I didn't know I was going to go on because for most of my life, I was somebody who I would describe myself who could make things happen. So I would make events happen and I would make publicity happen and I'd make book deals happen. And it was very much a type A, go, 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 do, lots of to-do lists, like, lots of lists. Every time I could check something off a list, I would give me so much joy. And if I did something that wasn't on the list, I put it on the list so I could cross it out. So my whole life was about doing. And I didn't expect it to be any different. And then one morning, I was maybe 43 years old. I was lying in bed. I had my eyes closed. I was feeling around the bed in search of my 25-pound cat, and the cat
Oh.
wasn't there. But I could feel that there was this huge empty expanse of bed. There was nothing there. And I had this thought was, holy shit, I forgot to get married. And so I'm lying in bed thinking, how did I get to be 43 and not married? I had this amazing business, great career, lots of friends. I was living in Hollywood, California, going to screenings and galas and parties and dinners and traveling. I had a sports car and a condo. I mean, really, I had this great life. And I thought, but no, there's something missing. So I sat up and I got out a pad of paper and I made 9 pages of notes of all the things I had done to manifest my incredible life.
Wow.
And then I thought, well, there should be something in here that I could use to manifest my soulmate life partner. So I then, sort of crafted all these things that I was going to do. And sometime later, and I couldn't tell you how much later because I wasn't planning to write a book and change careers over this process. So I wasn't tracking the time. But sometime later, I did manifest my soulmate life partner. It was very magical. And suddenly I was like the poster child for single women over 40. And they were all coming to me. Well, how did you do it? I want a Brian. How did you get a Brian? What did you do? So I would share my process with them and it would work for them too. Then something else happened and I ended up talking on somebody's stage, sharing this story. And suddenly 300 women come rushing at me going, I got to have your book. I got to have your book. I was like, there isn't a book. But then there was a book and it was called The Soulmate Secret, Manifest the Love of Your Life with the Law of Attraction. And the book became an international bestseller in 20 languages and 40 countries. And suddenly I'm getting all these calls. Oh, come speak at, Omega and Esalen and the Chopra Center and this, that, and the other thing, and write another book. So without meaning to, I became this love expert. But it got really good after I got married because quickly after I got married, I discovered I had no partnership skills. Like I knew how to manifest a soulmate, but I was clueless on how do you keep the soulmate. Because at that point in my life, running a business and doing all the stuff I was doing,
Yeah.
the thing that I excelled at was being the boss, but I
Mm.
didn't know how to be a good partner.
Wow.
So I decided that I needed to learn that, and I just declared myself a student of love.
Mm.
And I also, at the same time, started an online series called the what did I call it? Oh my God, The Art of Love. It was called The Art of Love. And I interviewed the world's top mating, dating, marriage, love, and relationship experts.
Wow.
And then every time I'd learn something from them, I'd go and do a trial run in my own relationship, and it worked. It would always
Mm.
work. So that became the next part. So then there was like another book about, okay, now you have the soulmate. How do you keep the soulmate? And one book was called Wabi Sabi Love, and the other one was called Turn Your Mate into Your Soulmate.
Wow.
And it was fun because all I was doing really was talking, thinking, and writing about love.
Mm.
So that's sort of the evolution to what's happening now, which is I've just released my debut novel. It's called The Love Thief, and it's
Beautiful.
a romantic spiritual thriller with a very juicy revenge subplot and a happy surprise ending.
Mm.
So that just came out a month ago. It's called The Love Thief. So that's the short version of how I got to where I am sitting here with you today.
Beautiful. Well, I'm going to talk a bit more about the book a bit later on, but I love the journey and the evolution that you were just being, and it just
Mm.
led you on this beautiful path. And honestly, I totally relate. So, in my background, I used to be a journalist. I ended up walking away from it 13 years ago, and kind of like yourself, I didn't plan to go on this journey and become a trauma expert. It was never my plan. Like,
Yeah.
I always thought I would be a health journalist, and that's it. And then, as the universe has a plan, as you know, I was sat in a hospital waiting for some results and they'd misdiagnosed me. But before that, I heard a voice say, so I basically said to myself, as we do when we feel sorry for ourselves, what have I done to deserve this? And a voice said, you created this. And then when I got my results and I was misdiagnosed, I heard the words, it's time to heal. And kind of like yourself, I wrote 30 pages in 7 hours and I saw the patterns of my life. I don't know how I did it till this day, Ariel. Like, I don't know how. But what it did is lead me on a journey of deep self-love and healing and really trusting the wisdom from within. And like now I help clients with their trauma and I can see patterns, but I had to see those patterns within myself. So I love that you've been on that journey where it was like, I never planned to be this, but it was always the divine's plan for you, just like myself.
Yeah. And that has really changed my entire way of approaching life over the last few years. Because during the pandemic, when we were in lockdown and I couldn't go anywhere or do anything, I started thinking about the biggest, most amazing stuff that's ever happened to me in my life. And I realized I did not consciously manifest any of it.
Wow.
I never sat down and said, what about this or what about that? And when I looked, where did it come from? It came out of the deepest, most painful moments in my life where I just completely surrendered and said, okay, God, I haven't a clue what the next baby step is. So just
Mm.
show me what to do in the next 5 minutes. And out of that surrender and trust, then these unimaginable, amazing things began to happen. So now I no longer consciously manifest. I really don't. Not that it didn't work. Everything that I did worked, but it was three things. It was 101 manifestation,
Mm.
it was willful, and it was ego driven. And now I choose to live in a state of surrender, welcoming in whatever the highest and best good is for me without any attachment to what it
Mm.
has to look like. So
Yeah.
I don't have a bucket list anymore, and I don't have a plan, and I'm not hoping, yearning, wishing, dreaming of anything so much as excited of the unknown that's coming. And
Mm.
sometimes I get glimpses, like I have a strong feeling about what's coming, But if it doesn't come, I'm not disappointed. Where in the
Yeah.
past it was like, oh, I must be doing something wrong. Therefore, I need to change my vision board, write a new affirmation, get better into alignment, and I sort of would want to be in control. And now I realize that, you know, there is no control. I mean, who are we kidding? We have no control,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So I've sort of, I think the one thing I try to consciously work on is trading out control for gratitude.
Hmm. Yeah. It's, I agree with you 100%. My whole career path, I call it my old life, was all about hitting deadlines, hitting certain targets. Like you said, I didn't really think about those things, but they would happen. Like certain places I wanted to live, places I wanted to work, it just manifested. And then when I really surrendered, so I got really ill a few years back, and when I had to surrender because I had no choice, I couldn't run away from my feelings or my thoughts. I had to really sit within myself and heal those deepest and darkest moments like generational trauma, ancestral trauma that I would have never thought of had I not got sick. And then in that moment, I realized that I had to surrender. I am not in control of this plan. There was a plan for why I was sick, and it actually saved my life. If I'm honest, because I was working crazily in my business, trying to build everything up. Ariel, living off like 3 hours sleep for several years. That's not healthy. I would have not,
Right.
the long term, I would be even worse. And, the universe always has a plan. And I healed my health condition, and now I'm able to just do what my heart desires. Had I not gone through that moment of 7 years of the deepest, painful journey, like you said, which is my biggest teachings, is now what I teach. So
Right.
there's
Yeah.
always a plan,
I,
even in the sadness, right?
I always say the worst things that ever happened to me turned out to be the best. And if I could go back and change them, I would not,
Yeah.
even though it was excruciating during the time when I was like, oh my God, my life so sucks. Things are never going to get better. I'm totally, at the bottom of the pit. And now it's like, well, thank God, thank God that person totally lied to me and screwed me over. Thank God, I got in this accident. Like I was a year ago this month, I had this crazy experience. I was on the dream of a lifetime trip.
Wow.
I was on an exquisite small cruise ship with 400 people, about to go to all the most magnificent places around Italy and Greece.
Hmm.
And on the second day, I collapsed and I ended up in a tiny little island called Corsica in a
Oh.
French hospital with double pneumonia and COVID in the ICU for 9 days. And the entire
Oh.
experience was not a disaster. It was
Hmm.
not a nightmare. There was never a moment where I felt any fear at all. I don't speak French. They didn't speak English,
Oh my
right?
God.
There was no one to communicate with, right? My friend who was on the ship with me luckily got off and we were able to determine like what my prognosis was. And they were very clear, you're not getting out of here till your chest x-ray is till you don't need oxygen, right?
Yeah.
But I had this experience where I felt like I was completely in tune with the frequency of the universe. And it was just this
Hmm.
like floating in the sea of love and mercy, trusting that I was okay in spite of what, all the stuff sticking out of my body. I was really okay. And I would eventually get home and
Wow.
that I, I don't really have the words to describe it because it it was just so peaceful. I was just in
Hmm.
this very peaceful, I'm okay, I'm going to be okay. It wasn't like, oh, I can't believe I'm not going to get to go to Sicily or,
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm going to miss the Amalfi Coast. Um, I'll get there someday, but for
Yeah.
now I'm stuck in a hospital.
Wow. It's interesting, isn't it? Those moments we don't realize how powerful they are, even though everybody around us is panicking and freaking out. But
Uh,
it, if you're in that moment, when I woke up from my operation, I woke up and I remember feeling at peace, like you said. I'd
yeah,
like pre-planned everything, made sure as much as I possibly could, like meditations, everything before I went into the theatre. And when I woke up, I just had this feeling of bliss and gratitude. And actually, that's when I changed the podcast name. It used to be called Get Inspired with Girls, and I woke up hearing inner light, and that we all have an inner light within us, which is why it's called the Inner Light Project now. So it's
Yeah.
fascinating in those moments that I almost feel like we kind of come out of our bodies and we're like on a deeper spiritual level with the divine, where it's just we're being guided about the next journeys and what we're here to do.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened, and I don't know how I got so sick because nobody else on the ship had COVID. Nobody I was with had COVID.
Hmm.
And the only thing I do know is that 10 days before I left San Diego, I got the COVID booster and a flu shot. But what I don't know, because I'd never had a reaction to any of those things before,
Yeah.
here's what I don't know that I'd love to know. Did the COVID shot nearly kill me, or did it save my life?
Hmm.
And I
Wow.
don't know. So it's kind of confusing because you could make an argument either way. It's like perhaps I hadn't gotten the shot and I got it, infected with some strain, and that could have been the end of me.
Wow.
It's just a mystery. So at this point, I'm just like, I'm grateful. I'm here. I'm fully recovered.
Hmm.
Um, and maybe it was like a system upgrade. Like maybe I needed to be in this, it was like a crib. It was, like I was in a crib,
Oh my
basically.
God.
Uh, that's what the hospital bed was like for me. It was
Oh
like a
wow.
crib because, there had bars up and
No
they didn't
way.
want to fall out of bed. And it was like somehow I needed to be stationary and not distracted. So whatever
Hmm.
magic was going to happen happened. I don't,
So
who
it's
knows?
interesting. I was just going to say, it's so interesting because what I'm picking up is that you had a past life there and you came back to heal something.
In
But you,
Corsica.
yeah.
Well, it's certainly a very beautiful place, and I would go back there. It was gorgeous, but I was in a hospital room, so I couldn't see anything. I mean, once I got out of the hospital, the funniest thing happened. I finally got out, and I was going to leave the next day. I was going to get a flight from Corsica to Paris, Paris to Newark, Newark to San Diego. That was the plan for the day. And I got to the airport, and there was a strike. And the strike went on for 4 days. So I had 4 days just to enjoy the magic and the beauty and the food of this little island with these very kind people. So that was sort of the vacation I didn't get on the cruise ship.
Wow. It was like I don't know, my intuition is just saying that. And I can relate because every time I go to where my parents grew up, I always get sick there. Nobody else.
Where is that?
So my parents are originally from India and
What part?
so Punjab.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that my parents, like my mum moved here when she was really young and my dad came a lot later, but every time I've been to India, people go there and they say, have a spiritual experience. The opposite happens to me. I either get bitten by mosquitoes, injected because I've lost loads of weight, or I end up getting electrocuted. Something always happens to me there. And I've realized that there is some past life stuff that I'm clearing. So I know when I'll go next time, it's with a different way of being. But I always feel that there's something that I'm clearing every time I go there. It's very
I
interesting.
have that issue with Mexico. India's my happy place.
Oh,
Oh, I love India. India loves me. It's great. But Mexico, you know, and I live 30 miles from the border. Like we
wow.
can see the lights of Tijuana from our bedroom.
Oh my God.
But I just get so sick when I'm in Mexico. But India, I have to be really careful with the food. I'm not good with
Hmm.
spicy food, but that's easy enough. You just eat vegetables who've been cooked within a minute of their life and, you know, peel your own bananas and you'll be fine.
Oh, I love that. I was going to say, actually, just going back to what you were saying earlier. So you go on this journey, you just follow life, and you decide, you realize, like, in your 40s, like, I'm missing love. But what is it do you feel about women that they're struggling to be love and feel love and keep love?
Well, the biggest mistake single women make is they are walking around thinking they have a love deficit. Because they don't have a
Mm.
romantic partner, they're constantly in this horrible negative state. I don't have love in my life. So the Sanskrit language has 96 words for love. Persian has 80, Greek has 3, English has 1. There's all kinds of love, and love is not missing really from anybody because um you've got your parents, your siblings, your friends, your coworkers, your neighbors, your cats, your dogs,
Mm.
all of them with whom you're sharing love, right? You love them and they love you. But because there's not this Disney character, Prince Charming, oh, poor me, I don't have any love in my life. So they're constantly repelling the possibility of romantic love.
Mm.
They're living in lack.
Yeah.
I don't have. That's the constant. Or, God, if only I had, as opposed to, I was going to do this at the end of our call, but I'm going to do it
Okay.
now. So here's the process. This is how you have more love in your life. It's so easy. I want everybody to make a list of at least 10 people in their life that you know for sure love you and that you love them. And it can be much longer, but there should be at least 10. And then every morning before you get out of bed, sit up, close your eyes, put your hands on your heart,
Mm.
and then visualize each one by one. Let's think about your mom, okay?
Yeah.
Just think about your mom. Oh God, I know mom loves me. And
Mm.
I love mom so much.
Yeah.
And right now, in this moment, I'm sending her a pink wave of love, wishing her a beautiful day.
Mm.
That's it. That's all you do. You do it with everybody on the list every day because what you're doing is you're reminding yourself and you're filling up your love tank with all the love you already have. So your love frequency is now vibrating at a very high level, which makes you so much more attractive to bringing in a romantic love relationship because you are just walking, talking, feeling, being love.
Wow. It's so
And it's
interesting. Sorry,
Yeah,
Karen.
no, it's so easy. I mean, that's what's missing. Now, you actually want to go out and meet somebody? Well, meeting somebody really requires being visible. So if
Mm.
you're sitting home alone watching reality TV, binging whatever, who's going to find you? Here in the States, I'll tell you who's going to find you. The Amazon delivery guy, the UPS guy, the gardener, the water delivery person, the garbage man, the guy who delivers the newspaper, all of whom are probably not suitable life partners for you. But
Mm.
that's the only one who's ever going to knock on your door. So you need to get out. There's lots of ways to do it. What really works is online dating. And everybody said, oh, I tried it. It didn't work for me. Yes, you tried it and your expectations were ridiculous. Okay. I can promise you right now, 95% of the people you connect with online are not what you're looking for, and they're going to disappoint you. And they're going to ghost you and they're going to catfish you. All those bad things are going to happen. And so what? You're only
Mm.
looking for one. So if you
Mm.
could be smart about it, and I would say if you can afford it, get yourself a dating coach. This thinking I could do it on my own is crazy. You can't. It's very counterintuitive. And you're looking for the wrong things. Oh, he's got to be taller than me, make more money than me, have the same values as me. He's got to meditate. He's got to do yoga. He's got to drink green drinks. He's got to do this. He's got to do that. Nowhere in there is like, okay, he has to be honest, trustworthy, a secure attachment type, share similar values, be interested in family. He does not have to meditate. He does not have to do yoga. Because if that were true, then how come so many male yoga teacher, meditation teachers are getting me too'd all over the place?
Mm.
Because it just because someone meditates doesn't make them more trustable at
Yeah.
all. There
Yeah.
was a whole book written about that for men on how to pick up women. It was called The Pickup Artist, how to pick up new age women because they're so easy to pick up. You just have to tell them what they want to hear. And it doesn't mean you're a good guy. So you have to
Mm.
start using your head to date, not your feelings. Your feelings have
Mm.
never gotten you to where you want to go, or you'd already have your life partner. You're going for that. Oh, well, yes, he's a nice guy, but he's 2 inches shorter. And yes, he has a good job, but I out earn him by so much. Or all this unimportant stuff. Is he somebody that if you called at 3 in the morning and said, my mom needs help, could you go pick her up and take her to the ER? Would say, of course, what's her address? Right? You
Mm.
want somebody who has values, somebody who does volunteer work, who has a heart and empathy and compassion and will have your back and be your biggest cheerleader. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what he earns. It does matter if he knows how to use it, if he's responsible with money.
Mm.
That's really important. Do you have higher education? Well, if you're a woman, chances are you do, because right now women are, they're exceeding men on so many levels. But
Yeah.
is he the person who you're going to walk in the door and he'll take one look at you and come give you a hug and say what happened? Because he's
Mm.
tuned into you. So women are looking for the wrong thing and they think that, swiping is the way to go. It's not the way to go. You actually want to get on a site where people have long profiles and you can see
Mm.
many, many pictures. And then you can communicate by text or email for about 30 seconds, just long enough to discover whether or not they're real or a robot. And then you want to get on a FaceTime with them
Mm.
for 15 minutes and see, does the conversation flow? What does their surroundings look like? Are they a hoarder? Did they take the time to brush their hair before they got on FaceTime? Like, and just start a conversation. And then once you start the conversation, have a second conversation. And if that goes well, then meet them for a walk. Go for a walk in a
Mm.
public place. What you don't want to do is start lots and lots of long texting. That is the worst thing you can do. You cannot get
Mm.
to know somebody by texting. The only reason to text in the beginning of a relationship is to say, I'm looking for parking. I'm running 10 minutes late. Order me a macchiato. That's the
Mm.
only reason to be texting, because if they don't want to talk to you on the phone or
Mm.
talk to you on a video, they're not your person. Okay. They're just too immature. Well, you're a sensitive person. You're an intuitive person, as I'm sure many of your fans are.
Yeah.
You want to be able to feel their energy. You want to hear the tone of their voice. How
That's
much
true.
can you pick up that way? You don't get any of that with texting. You might get somebody who's a good writer, who knows what to say, and is actually having the same conversation with seven other women,
Oh my
by the way,
God.
as opposed to when you're on a video chat and it's just the two of you. So
Wow.
women are saying, oh, online dating doesn't work for me. It's because you're doing it all wrong. You couldn't be doing it more wrong, because 40% of all marriages are now starting online. It does
Yeah.
work. And here's the thing nobody seems to know. The marriages that start online have a lower divorce rate than people who meet in the real world initially.
Wow.
I
Wow.
can't tell you why that is. I'm just telling statistically how that's happening. Because we've been online dating now for like almost 25 years,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I have friends that have met online and one of them they just had their 18th anniversary.
Oh,
Another one just had their 23rd anniversary. I mean, it does work. So, so you have to be visible. So yes, you're going to
mm.
date online, then you're going to go out, you're going to go to meetups. You're interested in hiking, biking, pickleball, whatever it is, book clubs. Go do those things, because even if your person isn't there, they may be the sister or the brother of your person. I know one
Mm.
woman who's an airline pilot whose passion was riding her Harley Davidson, tiny little petite thing. And every morning she'd get on her Harley and she'd ride to a coffee vendor at the beach, because she lives near the beach here. And she started seeing the same guy having the same coffee at the same time all the time. So she would sit and talk to him. Now she could tell he was married, he had a wedding band on. But one day he brought his mother to coffee, and the mother said to him, "What's the matter with you? Why haven't you introduced her to your brother, to whom she is now married?"
Wow. That's so interesting. A friend of mine, she's a lot older than me, and she's one of my friends that does a lot of healing. And her husband actually introduced their son to his now wife. He was in a supermarket here in the UK called Waitrose, and he started talking to her. She was just young, just started at university, and that was her part-time job. And he just asked her a few questions. What do you do? And she's like, I'm studying. And he said, I think you'd be right for my son. And 10 years later, now they're married.
Yeah, no, you have to get out there and be friendly and flirt. Flirt with men, flirt with women, flirt with children. And it's when I say flirt, it's so easy. You could just say, um, let's say there's some guy standing in front of you behind you at Starbucks, and he has the most beautiful blue eyes, and he happens to be wearing a blue Oxford shirt. All you could say is, somebody must have loved you a lot to buy you a blue shirt that matches your blue eyes. That's it. It's not like I want to have sex with you. It's just like a compliment,
Yeah.
and starts a conversation. And do that with everybody, but without any agenda. It's not
Mm.
like, are you single? It's just like, wow, that shirt and those eyes, unbelievable, right? It's easy.
I love what you're saying because it's so interesting for my generation. So I'm part of the millennials. I'm nearly 40 and I'm not married yet. I'm single right now. And a lot of people of my generation, they're either married, got kids, or they're not married at all.
Yeah.
And we're struggling with what I've realized is what we grew up is that fantasy of love, as you said at the beginning stages, but also we grew up with MSN and all these social
What
media
is
sites.
MSN?
MSN was like a typing thing that everyone around the world had, so you could have little chats with people.
Oh, okay.
It was when we were at school, so I
I'm a
think
baby boomer. We never had MSN.
some people used it for work actually. They used to use MSN
Oh,
at work. I was about 13 when MSN I think came out, and so we used to come go to school, then after school go and have chats with people online. So it was almost like we were dating, but you weren't dating, but you were getting to know people through other
yeah.
websites, and then you'd have chats in your own little group thing. But we feel that, and this is just something I've noticed, is that women have become so ahead of time, but men haven't evolved as much as women. And so we're struggling with, we're career minded, we have all these things going on, but the men don't want to understand us for that. They kind of want us to be traditional.
So the problem is you've just lumped all men
Not
into
all
their
men.
loser category. That's
Yeah,
exactly what you just did.
true,
And
true.
that's not true. There are plenty of millennial men who've grown up with good mothers who were able
Mm,
to articulate for them what it's like to have an equal partnership,
mm,
where you can take care of each other. The thing is, however it is you want to communicate, you should just be saying up front, um, here's where I'm at in my life. I'm 40 years old. I have a career that I love. And at this stage, I would like a life partner with
yeah.
whom I could share my life. And I envision us together. I could be a stepmom, or we could have kids, because 40 is not too old anymore if you're willing to have
Yeah.
donor eggs, right?
Yeah.
I have a friend who just gave birth for the first time at 53 with a donor egg,
Wow.
carried to term, so it's possible. But just really put it out there. Here's what I'm
Mm,
looking for. I, even though I'm very much of my generation in terms of XYZ,
yeah.
I'm also very traditional in terms of I
Mm,
want to make a beautiful Christmas, and I want my children in the backyard, and I want us to go, to XYZ
yeah.
festival in the summer together, like paint a picture for somebody
Yeah.
and keep putting it out there in the spaces that are there, because they you need they're visual guys, so you need to paint the picture for them.
Mm.
Now there will be plenty of losers that are going to show up and say, "Oh, you sound like my kind of girl." Well, that's why you're going to get on a FaceTime. And maybe you want to
Mm.
ask them, "Tell me about your mom. Like, what did she model for you? Like, tell me about what's your favorite memory of your childhood?" Or what's
Mm.
the thing, like if you were to have children, what's the thing you want to make sure never happens to them? You can ask what I call illuminating questions, and then there are clarifying questions. So the clarifying question is, he says something that, let's say you have a reaction, you get the ick factor.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something slightly racist, he says,
Yeah.
and you stop, and rather than go, ooh, I'm done, you say, you know, I just heard you say XYZ. Is that what you meant? And then don't say another word. Let him talk. Let him explain. He's like, oh my God, no, no, this is what I really meant. Or yeah,
Mm.
all such and such or this and that, like, and then you find out, like here in our country,
Yeah.
you want to find out right away whether or not they're Trumpers,
Mm.
because if you're a bleeding heart liberal, as I am,
Yeah.
I would need to know right away if he's got a red MAGA hat. And if he does, it's like, listen, I'm sure you're a great human being and you've got a nice education and you're going to make somebody really happy, but it's not going to be me. So goodbye.
Yeah.
Because you can't overcome some of this stuff that has to do with morals and values.
Mm.
Just can't. And they don't have to believe 100% what you believe. It could be, well, if some guy said to me, well, I initially voted for him because I believed A, B, and C was going to happen. And now I see what's really happening and I regret my vote. And the
Mm.
truth is, I'm a fiscal conservative or whatever it is. You can live with somebody like that because you can
Yeah.
share ideas and articulate them. It's like we have this woman here. God, what's her name? I can't think of her name right now. Her father was the vice president during the Bush era.
Oh,
Cheney.
wow.
Cheney. Her name is Cheney. So she's very, very conservative. And I remember thinking one day, God, you can tell how beautiful and smart she is, but politically, we're just on different ends of the spectrum. But then when all this Trump stuff started to come up, she went after him like an attack dog.
Oh,
And
wow.
she actually lost her position in the Senate because she was so against him. She got on his
Wow.
enemies list. And now it's kind of like, God, someday I want to have lunch with this woman because I so admire that she lives her values and her
Mm.
principles. And where I once thought there was no common ground, I
Mm.
see that she is a feminist in her own way,
Yeah.
right? So you can't have any of these conversations by text. You're not
That's
going to
true.
learn anything. You can't feel them, hear them. Now, of course, you want to be able to smell them in the real world because that's also important. I don't know how that part of the brain works. I do know that there's a smell thing that is
Yeah.
just critical to long-term happiness.
It's something, is it? I forgot what it's called now. My brain's completely forgot, but it's that's particular
Pheromones.
pheromones.
They're
That's it.
pheromones. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
pheromone thing.
Even if
Yeah.
it mixes with your perfume or their aftershave, there's a
Yeah.
distinct smell, isn't
Yeah,
there?
like for me, if some guy showed up smelling of cologne, I'd have to leave the room immediately because fragrance gives me a headache.
Oh no,
And
bless you. I was going to ask you about your new book, the Love Thief. Can you
yeah.
tell us more about it?
Well, it's a book that came to me in my head like a movie.
Mm.
And I had written 11 nonfiction books, but I'd never written a novel, nor was it, I didn't want to write a novel. I'd never even had the conscious thought, oh, maybe I'll write a novel someday. Never happened. But the book kept unfolding in my head like a movie over and over and over and over again. And I could see that it takes place in Rishikesh and in San Diego and it just insisted on being written. So I spent 5.5 years writing and learning how to write fiction because even though I'd written
Wow.
11 nonfiction books, I quickly discovered the only thing that fiction and nonfiction have in common is words. Other than that, they're
Mm.
totally different elements. There's no crossover at all into
Yeah.
my nonfiction skills to storytelling this way. So it was an adventure to write. I'm really excited that MGM Studios is optioning the book as a streaming series, and we're in the final days of the contract, and then that's going to go forward. So that's super exciting. But
Amazing.
the best thing about this book for me has been that the the readers have been so generous with their 5-star reviews
Oh,
and telling me how healing the book has been for them, that they have been betrayed and they have had their heart broken and their dreams crushed. And through the storytelling of the book, they're finding a lot of healing.
wow. That's amazing. Wow. I love that.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you in a different way because I know we spoke
Oh,
about it earlier about five top tips, but I'm thinking now, what are the five top tips people can take away from the book to heal from betrayal?
yes. Okay. So for sure they're going to learn what love is. For sure they're going to learn what love isn't. They're
Mm.
going to fall in love with Rishikesh, India, and the magic of this place because it's very unique to India. It's very calm and gentle and peaceful as opposed to Delhi and Mumbai and Bangalore and Chennai, which are New York City on steroids with too much sun. It's in the foothills of the Himalayas with the Ma Ganga, the Ganges River running through it, and they believe that the Ganges is a goddess.
Yeah.
And the veils between the worlds in Rishikesh are super thin. So, as Deepak Chopra once said to me as we were circumambulating Mount Arunachala on the full moon of Pongal with 500,000 pilgrims, he turned to me and he said, Arielle, spirit is not hard to find in India. It's impossible to avoid. So you'll fall in love with Rishikesh. Also, there are recipes in the book because my protagonist is going to cooking school to learn how to cook Indian comfort food.
Oh,
So there are
wow.
many recipes in the novel as well. And I would say the fifth thing is that there are healing techniques when you've had your heart broken that are provided throughout the storyline so that you can let go and allow yourself to heal and know with certainty that love is coming again.
Beautiful. I will be adding the name of the book and a link on our show notes, and you guys can all check it out and just give Ariel all that love because this just sounds absolutely amazing. I can't wait to read it myself. And I've just got two more questions for you.
Okay.
What are you most grateful for?
Oh, my entire life, really, everything about, I wake up in the morning and I'm just so grateful that I'm married to a life partner who's perfect for me. I live in a beautiful home in a beautiful little part of town. I have so many friends and family. I have so much love in my life. I have the opportunity to be creative every single day. So at this stage in my life, I'm just my gratitude tank is like overflowing. I'm so happy. And part of the thing I'm happy about is that, a few years ago, it didn't look like this. I had so many people close to me dying long, slow, painful deaths, and I was caretaker to 3 different people. So I was
Wow.
I was exhausted and overwhelmed and grieving the living losses of these, the closest people in the world to me were all sick.
Yeah.
And now 2 of them are dead and one of them survived. So
Wow.
that's all good. And it was okay to let them go because their
Mm,
bodies weren't going to come back. And I have a new relationship with the ones that are on the other
mm.
side. It's not as if they're gone. They make their presence known all the time, My
Yeah.
sister's still bossing me around from the other side. She was the one who made me write this book. She was very active in this process. So yeah, what are you most grateful for?
Just having my life back again and being able to heal and trust the wisdom from within. I think every day is, I'm so grateful every day for living and being, waking up from my bed, talking to amazing people, just the people around me. And I think the biggest one is that I got my life back because I was so sick to the point I was told that there was no other way. And, there was no other like tool to help me, but I just trusted the wisdom from within. So I'm so grateful that I've always listened to my intuition and it's always led me to the right places, the right people, the right healing. And to just keep going because, the universe had a plan for me. There was a reason
Yeah.
why it all happened. And the more that I go through, I don't see it as a hardship. I see it as a lesson to then share with other people.
Yeah.
So I'm always grateful that, even though those times were hard, as, we were talking about earlier, it really helped to bring who I am now. Like I have so much stillness, so much peace. That did not happen 10 years ago.
Yeah.
A lot of
Well, welcome
people,
back.
thank you. A lot
Yeah.
of people want peace and, they're successful and everything, but people are lacking in a peace. And I love helping people to really clear all that cobwebs off to really come
Yeah.
back home. That is my biggest joy and my biggest gratitude is helping women to heal.
Yeah.
Yeah. My last question is, what shines your inner light?
What shines my inner light? Oh, well, I have this practice that I call being a pleasure puppy. So every day I put, I, sorry, I write one thing down that's going to be pleasurable to do. And I don't mean like a good habit. It's like something new, unique, and different for the day. So maybe I go get a foot rub, or I decide to walk a different route, or I play with one of my two cats or both of them, or I'll go to the bakery and get something really yummy and eat half of it and throw the other half away. It's too big a piece, So I look for ways to uh, fill my senses with pleasure.
Hmm. I love that. Thank you, Ariel, for just sharing your journey and just, really trusting that wisdom from within to do the work that you do. I'm so grateful that I'm able to talk to you today because there are so many other women out there who are now going to learn about love, going to learn that they're not doing the right thing and they need to come back home to themselves. And like you said, just learn that love is possible for all of us.
Yes.
What an interesting episode with Ariel. It's so interesting how we see love, feel love, and want to be loved. And I definitely learned a few tricks today from Ariel today. Now, if you're struggling to find a partner or if you're looking for love, then visit Ariel's website where she will help and guide you to your next stages. Now, if you want any more information about Ariel, do look at the show notes below. All her information is there. And unfortunately, that's the end of the show. Before I leave, I want to leave you with this quote. The greatest thing you can ever learn is to love and be loved in return. Now, if you're struggling to liberate your mind, body, and spirit from patriarchal people pleasing, visit my website at www.gerdshandel.com, where you'll find my program, The Liberation Alchemy, which is a 4-month dive deep program, which is to help you to let go of the patriarchal, ancestral, cultural, societal trauma so you can come back home to yourself and speak your truth. And remember, stay happy, stay healthy, stay lit.
Lit.